Today is my 1-year anniversary for working at MTGGoldfish. Kind of, we'll get more into that in a moment. Some of you knew that, some of you didn't know that I worked for them, so I figured since I've never really explained how or why that came to be, I will go ahead and make a video about it today. It's probably safe to assume that you, as the viewer, know who MTGGoldfish is if you're watching this video or follow Magic really at all. But in case you don't, they have a website where they have information about deck lists for different formats. They do a lot of content on their main channel for 60 card stuff on Arena and Magic Online. They have a Commander channel, they have an unboxing channel, they do a lot of different stuff. When I started getting into Magic in 2016, they were a huge resource to me as I was coming up with what decks I wanted to play for different formats. And their Commander Clash series has always been really good entertainment, fun characters, and quirky decks. Fast forward to about a year ago. Some of you guys have been here for a while, but in case you didn't know, Geek and Seek has actually been here for quite a while. I love making videos. It's one of my favorite things to do. I find it very rewarding to put creative effort into something, release it out into the world, and people enjoy it. That's actually very fulfilling to me as a person. But we had been doing Geek and Seek for a long time. At this point, even our most successful stuff, which was our Commander gameplay series, we had been doing it for probably a year at that point. And Geek and Seek still is, you know, as it is today, a very small channel. And while I'm putting all this effort into Commander gameplay and other videos, I am also doing a full-time job. It was the right job at the right time for me. I had just became a dad, so I was working at home so I could be with the kid, but I was also needing to make money. But it just wasn't a very fulfilling job. So I was kind of looking for new opportunities in the creative world of how could I realistically still get to create something, even if it's not my own, and still be part of a creative process that brings enjoyment to people. And that's what I figured I would do. I didn't know what the dealio was with their podcast. I didn't know what their turnaround time was. I didn't know who was editing. I didn't know what their time was budgeted for getting it done. But I drafted up a quick email that I ended up just shooting off to Richard. I basically said, hey, I've been listening to your podcast for a few years. I love the content, but here's just a few really simple ways that you could up the quality of the podcast. And again, I didn't know what they had to work with, so I was very careful in what I was choosing, saying like, hey, these are things that will make the podcast look a little bit nicer, but they won't add that much time to the workflow. And I did kind of add a little thing at the end, being like, hey, and if you need someone else to help do it, I'll do it. But really, I mean, I kind of didn't expect it to go there. I was just trying to be helpful to people who were been very helpful to me. So to my mostly like 99% surprise, I ended up getting an email back from Richard saying, hey, let's hop on Discord, let's have a talk. And so we did, and I ended up doing a little bit of testing for editing for Goldfish. And it started off as part-time, and I was only doing their Commander Clash podcast. The reason I say kind of my 1-year anniversary is today for working for them is because I don't actually remember when exactly it was that I was like, all right, here's my contract, I'm signing it, I'm working here. But I do know that 1 year ago today is when episode 113 of their podcast came out, which is when they were discussing whether or not they were going to house ban the One Ring for Commander Clash. So as a lot of the comments on that video have noticed, hey, this editing's a lot different. That's because that was the first one that I ended up doing. And so I kind of just did that on the side for a few months, and then I ended up having some stuff happen at work that I was like, I don't really think this is the right job for me and my family anymore. I kind of want to look for something else. So I kind of threw to Richard like, hey, I don't know if you have enough work to bring me on full time, but if you do, I will put in my 2 weeks at my job. I can start here in a few weeks, like if that's what we want. Now, luckily enough, for a lot of different reasons, it kind of turned out that I couldn't do their main podcast that they do on Mondays because they record it that day and then release it later that day, and that was hard to do when I was doing it part-time on the side. But because I was going full-time, I was able to do that podcast in addition to also already doing the Commander Clash podcast. So I started doing that in, I think, December. More ambitiously, though, is Richard told me he wanted to switch Commander Clash to being in paper. This is a shock to anyone who watched Commander Clash for a long time. They did, I believe, 14 seasons of Commander Clash on Magic Online, hundreds of episodes, and they just decided for season 15 that they were going to switch to recording over Spelltable and then doing it in a lot of stuff in editing and post to make it look better than if you were just playing on Spelltable and whatnot. And I'll admit, I was hesitant about that because I see Commander Clash as the Magic Online show. So it was kind of like, ooh, is that the right move? but there's a lot of reasons that it was the right call. The editing is a lot nicer. Most people would agree it's easier to follow, and Magic Online has stalled behind paper in what cards are available. There's a lot of cards that exist that aren't on Magic Online, and that's a real bummer when you're trying to brew new and exciting Commander decks all the time. So that was my biggest undertaking. So when Commander Clash switched to paper at the beginning of Season 15, which was in January, that was me. That was my big undertaking in how I was able to come on Goldfish full time. I also did a few videos over on their Patreon, but I haven't done that lately. I'm pretty busy between the podcast and Commander Clash, so I haven't done anything over on their Patreon in a while. And then kind of more recently, towards the end of July, I think, I hopped in on the Commander Clash podcast, which was kind of cool. You know, I'd been working there for almost a year, and it was kind of cool to kind of be not just the guy behind the camera, but actually cringing to everyone's ridiculous statements there in person in real time, which was a lot of fun. I could definitely see the opportunities to fill in on people. I was very vigilant in reading people's comments because I care about what people think about me more than I should. I shouldn't care what people think. I do, but the general feedback seemed very positive, so I definitely could see coming back. But again, the other guys, they're a lot more well-known. They have experience together as players, so it wouldn't be often, but I could definitely see being on there again at some point. I also had someone ask me if I would ever be on the Monday podcast. I don't know. I could do that. I like 60 card formats. I follow it, but also for mostly time reasons, I don't know if I could ever do that, especially frequently. But yeah, it's been really exciting. I'm so thankful for MTG Goldfish for giving me the opportunity to do something I love. I love editing videos. I love making stuff for people to enjoy and maybe bring a little bit of light to their day. And, you know, as much as I love Geek and Seek, I love what we do here on this channel. It has grown very, very slowly. So being able to come in and help out with Goldfish and their transition with Commander Clash and upping the quality of their podcast, it was very, very exciting, and I've loved this last year immensely. I'm looking forward to what's to come. If you would like to meet the MTG Goldfish guys and myself, we will all be at MagicCon Vegas here very shortly, next month even. So I hope to see you there. I got to meet a few of you there last year. That was really fun getting to meet some of the fans in person. I would love to jam some games with you guys or whatever. And that's it. That's my story with MTG Goldfish so far. It's been a really exciting year. If you have any other questions, I could maybe do some kind of follow-up. I could maybe just reply to your comment. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, and check out our other content if you're new. We have a weekly podcast. We have a somewhat monthly Commander gameplay series that used to be bi-weekly, so we have a lot of episodes that are not that old, and some other content here and there. I will see you guys later. Bye.